An Illini priority target is on campus, and it's time for Brad Underwood to lock this one down. Locked on Illini, let's go.
You are Locked on Illini, your daily podcast on the Illinois Fighting Illini. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome all to another edition of Locked on Illini. Thank you all so much for making us your first listen each and every day. Today's episode is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. My name is Sonny Roma, your host here at Locked on Illini, where I continue to provide you coverage daily. That's right, every single day of your beloved Illini. So if you're a fan, an alarm, whatever it might be, make sure you hit the like button on this video. I promise it's a good one. Make sure you're subscribed as I try to reach that elusive goal of 3,000 subs on YouTube. All right, Illini fans, let's talk about a name that could completely shift the outlook of next season. Now, if you're in the Locked on Illini Discord, link is in the description, by the way, you know on April 5th, I was the first one to leak Andrej's name as a possible guy to keep an eye out for, that the staff was very interested in, and there was a lot of back channeling going around. Last week, he actually entered the transfer portal himself, and it looks like now he's going to be on campus. Yes, Andrej Stojakovic. Yes, that's Stojakovic, the son of Peja, former McDonald's All-American, big-time wing, big-time scorer, and guess what? He's on campus. Now, let me be clear. This is more than just a flashy name. This is a legit opportunity for Brad Underwood to land a proven high major scorer who checks so many boxes for what this Illini roster needs, especially with Will Riley and KJ looking more and more likely headed to the NBA. So in this episode, we're going to dive into who Andrej is as a player, what his game actually looks like, and why Illinois might be a pretty decent fit. And also why this might be one of the more important recruitments of the Underwood era. Let's go. So let's rewind for a second. Stojakovic is a 6'7", 205-pound wing. Just finished his sophomore year at Cal, where he averaged 17.9 points per game, 4.7 rebounds, 1.8 assists, 1.2 blocks, 43% from the field, and 32% from three-point range. Before that, he was at Stanford. He averaged just under 8 points a game as a freshman, then transferred to Cal and leveled up big time. He earned all ACC honorable mention and put himself on the national radar. Oh, and by the way, he was a top 20 recruit out of high school in the 2023 class. Offers from Duke, Kansas, Kentucky, Texas, UCLA. He had everyone after him. So let's not pretend this is some under-the-radar portal gem. This is a big-time talent who's producing at a high level, and he's looking for the right fit to take that next step. And that could very well be at Illinois. Now, I know a lot of people hear the last name and immediately think of Peja, especially if you're my age. Sacramento Kings legend, NBA All-Star, and one of the smoother shooters of his era. And let's be honest, that name brings eyeballs. You bring in the Stojakovic and the national attention follows. There's a brand element to this. But what's cool is Andrej isn't just coasting on the family name. He plays a completely different style. He's more of a slasher, a creator, someone who likes to get into the paint and use his size to create mismatches. And unlike some guys with NBA lineage, he's not chasing a one-and-done path. He's already got 2 years of college under his belt, and technically, he still has 2 years of eligibility left. That's a sweet spot with Andrej. You get experience plus upside. So what does he bring to the fore? Stojakovic is a very crafty scorer. He's comfortable on the ball. He likes to get to his spots in the mid-range, and he shot 58% at the rim, which is impressive considering how much defensive attention he got when he was playing at Cal. He also averaged over a block a game, and he's a wing. That's the kind of size and length Illinois fans saw from Matthew Meyer a couple years ago. He had 6'9" wingspan coming out of high school, and that really shows up in the off-ball defense and when he's contesting shots. Now, let's address the shooting. When you think of Peja, when you think of Stojakovic, you think shooting. But he's not Peja from deep yet. He shot 32% from three last year and just 29% on catch and shoot. But here's the context. He was taking a ton of tough looks. End of clock, high usage, bad spacing situations. And even then, he was still efficient off the dribble and showed the ability to create separation. You put him in Illinois' system with actual shooters and bigs who can pass from the top of the key, like Tomislav Ivicic, I think that opens up a different side of Andrej's game. This is the kind of player Brad Underwood has had success with. Think Terrence Shannon Jr., big, athletic guard who needed polish, became a lottery pick. Think Marcus Damask, crafty scorer, not a crazy athlete, but given the keys and thrived as a mismatch problem. Even Matthew Mayer, for all the ups and downs, was a shot blocking, floor spacing wing who could score in bunches. Illinois knows how to use these kind of players. And more importantly, they know how to put them in positions to raise their NBA stock. Think about this. If Will Riley and KJ end up going in the first round like they're expected to at the end of June, that's going to be 3 wing players that Brad Underwood has made into first round picks in 2 years. 3 in 2 years. If Andrej is looking for that kind of leap, this is one of the best spots in the country to do it. So where does Illinois stand now? All signs are pointing pretty promisingly at Illinois. Joe Tipton from On3 reported over the weekend that the Illini are out in front, and this week Stojakovic is in Champaign for that official visit. It's moving pretty fast. Brad Underwood and the staff had a Zoom call with him already. Orlando Antigua was the one who had recruited him when he was at Kentucky. So that's where the existing relationship comes from. The Illini are really making a push here. And it makes sense because that's the biggest need on the roster. As I mentioned, Riley Jakushion is likely off to the league. There's a gaping hole for a go-to scorer. Illinois has bigs. They have glue guys like Jake Davis and Ty Rodgers, but they need someone who can score 17 to 20 points a night and take over late in the game. Stojakovic can be that guy, especially in the Big Ten, where physicality and size still matter. This is one of those recruitments where if you land him, the tone of the offseason changes instantly. Suddenly the narrative around Illinois isn't, oh, they lost Riley, they lost KJ. It becomes, wow, they replaced him with another proven scorer who still has upside. This is what closing a high priority portal target looks like. You act fast, you get the first visit, you use your connections, you sell development, you offer a real role. And yes, you bring the NIL package that proves you're serious. And based on everything we've heard, Illinois is doing all of that. Again, a lot of people are kind of confused because I was speaking this way about Dame Sarr seemingly just a couple of weeks ago, and that has kind of gone off the rails. But I've hinted to it, and I truly do believe it. Some of you disagree, and that's completely fine. I think it's because Illinois knows they can target one more big-time bag. And I think they would rather give it to a more experienced veteran player like Andrej Stojakovic than a Dame Sarr. A lot of you are thinking, hey, Dame Sarr decided to go in a different direction. I would argue that when at the conclusion of all this, Dame and Andrej are going to sign for very similar NIL amounts. So for me, that shows that it's Brad Underwood and the coaching staff who decided to move more so in the direction of Stojakovic than a guy like Sarr. But again, you have to lock this one down. So what comes next? Stojakovic's visit is happening pretty much while you're watching this. And if all goes well, this could move quickly. Illinois is clearly prioritizing him. And based on where the rest of the market is, with Kentucky landing another guard and USC being pretty quiet, the Illini are in a prime spot to close this. And if they do, this becomes one of the biggest portal wins of the Underwood era. Andrej Stojakovic isn't just a name. He's the kind of player who could come in and average 15 and 8 a night and be the face of Illinois basketball next season. Let's see if they get it done. Look, a lot of you guys like to joke around in the comments section that I'm an Underwood homer on the show. Now, I always argue that I'm absolutely not. I do think he's the best coach for this program currently, but I just also think there's a lot of irrational Underwood hate out there. But if I have to stand on my ground and be as unbiased as I possibly can be, the pressure's on Brad on this one. This one, I genuinely do think that Andrej is coming here to finalize things, to make a commitment. And so if Brad lets Stojakovic leave without a commitment, that's going to be a big black eye on Brad Underwood for this offseason. because I don't know who the next target is. I'm sure there is one, and at some point it will leak, but they spent over a month, probably longer than that, back channeling this guy, trying to get Andrej to enter the transfer portal, and they kind of zeroed in on him very, very early. So to be that first visit, to have that opportunity to close things down, they absolutely need to make that happen. Let me know what your guys' opinion of Stojakovic is. Just side note, do you guys remember watching his dad like I did? That Sacramento Kings team was one of the first really just all-out fun teams to watch in the NBA. It was kind of like a precursor to what you see nowadays. But do you think Stojakovic can be the star of this next year's basketball team? Maybe 2 years from now, he could play 4 years of college basketball. Are you comfortable if Stojakovic announces for the Illini this week, or would you still rather Brad Underwood wait and try to catch a bigger fish? I'm very curious on your guys' thoughts. Let me know in the comments. Imagine watching your favorite team live, feeling the energy of the crowd and witnessing unforgettable moments. There's nothing like experiencing a big game live. Getting tickets shouldn't be stressful. That's where Game Time comes in, making it easier than ever to grab last-minute deals at unbeatable prices. Game Time Picks. Curation makes it easier to find better values for tickets to sports, concerts, comedy, theater, etc., etc. And you have a little peace of mind. When you do buy your tickets, you can have the seat views before you buy. No surprise fees and lowest price guarantee. You can book with total confidence. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. That's LOCKEDONCOLLEGE for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest price, guaranteed. And welcome back to Locked On Illini. If you like what you see so far, make sure you hit that like button while you're here. Make sure you're subscribed to the channel. Look, I continue to provide this coverage daily at zero cost. The only thing I ask for in return is your support just by simply hitting that like button. As I've been saying for almost a year on the show, look, it's a great time to be an Illini, and that kind of continues with this next story. You see, this topic, it might not be about a player, but it's about something just as important. Terry Hawthorne is coming home. Illinois football is bringing back one of its own, a former All-Big Ten corner, an NFL draft pick, a guy who knows what it means to wear the black eye, and he's rejoining Bret Bielema's staff as a director of defensive player personnel. Now, I know titles like this don't always jump out on the surface, but let me tell you something. This move could have huge implications for Illinois recruiting, especially in one of the most talent-rich areas in the state, East St. Louis and the Metro East. Let's break this all down, who Terry Hawthorne is, why this matters, and what it tells us about where Bret Bielema is steering this program. Start with a little background. Terry Hawthorne isn't just a random alum coming back to help out. He's a two-time All-Big Ten honorable mention selection at Illinois. Played under Ron Zook, and in 2013, he was drafted by the Pittsburgh Steelers. That's not a guy who just passed through Champaign. That's someone who made his name here. After the NFL, he went back home and joined the coaching staff at East St. Louis High School. And let me just pause there for a second. That program is a powerhouse. Multiple state championships, dozens of D1 athletes, and Terry was right there in the mix, coaching corners, coaching receivers, helping develop that elite level talent from the ground up. From 2014 to 2019, he helped build those relationships and that trust. And that's nearly a decade of sweat equity in the Metro East. Then in 2021, Hawthorne joined Illinois' recruiting staff as the director of high school player personnel and Illini relations. Basically, his job was to help bridge that gap between high school coaches and the Illini program. 1 year later, he briefly takes a role at Arkansas, gets a taste of the SEC machine, works under one of Bielema's former colleagues, and learns how that operation runs. Then he lands at Southern Illinois as the cornerbacks coach, where he spent the last 3 years. Again, building connections in Southern Illinois, recruiting defensive backs, working the trail. So now, in 2025, Bielema brings him back home. This time, as Director of Defensive Player Personnel. It's a step up. It's a more focused, impactful role. And I'll say it again, this is probably the best use of Terry Hawthorne's strengths as we've seen yet. Here's where it gets exciting. Since Corey Patterson left the Illini staff in 2022, I believe, the direct ties to the St. Louis and Metro East scene haven't really been the same. That's a key battleground for Illinois recruiting, a border region with real talent. And keep in mind, Missouri on the other side, they've been scooping up a lot of that talent. There's a reason that they've been as successful as they've been over the past couple seasons. We're talking about Power 5 kids that programs like Missouri, Kansas, Iowa, even SEC schools are going after. Now, with Hawthorne back on staff, you suddenly have someone with deep roots in the community, someone who won a state title as a player at East St. Louis, someone who coached multiple championships with East St. Louis, and someone who's already helped Illinois land guys from that program. Let me remind you, Melvin Priestley, Brandon Henderson, JoJo Hayden. Those are all former Flyers who either started or rotated in for the Illini. That's the beginning of the pipeline. But now, with Hawthorne back, that pipeline could explode. Look, in college football, recruiting has changed. It's not just about who can offer the most stars or the flashiest uniforms. It's all about trust, relationships, track records, and yes, who's sitting in that living room, especially at a place like Illinois. Terry Hawthorne walks into a living room in the East St. Louis or the Metro East, and he's not just a coach. He's Coach Terry. He's someone these kids grew up watching. He's someone their coaches worked with. He's someone who played in the NFL, and he did it coming from Illinois. And that matters. And when you combine that credibility with the Illini's new facilities, Bielema's Big Ten reputation, and the NIL structure that's quietly improving, you've got a serious recipe for long-term recruiting wins. And here's the other part that stands out. This is Terry Hawthorne's second time on the Illini recruiting staff. And that tells me a couple different things. Bielema and Pat Embleton are building real culture and loyalty inside that recruiting operation. And Illinois is investing more and more into its personnel department. And in 2025, you need that. The days of having two grad assistants and a clipboard guy handing recruiting over was done. This is war, portal battles, NIL pitches, relationship building, evaluation. It never stops. And Bielema knows that. So on the surface, this is a recruiting staff hire. But if Terry Hawthorne can do what we all think he's capable of doing, well, this could be one of the most impactful offseason moves Illinois makes in a very long time. Because it's not just about landing a few more East St. Louis kids. It's about reestablishing a dominant pipeline. It's about gaining a recruiting foothold in a key border region. It's about selling the dream of NFL success through Illinois and not somewhere else, and giving high school coaches someone they know, someone they trust, and someone they respect. So yes, this is a great hire, but it's also a very smart hire. And if it pays off the way it could, you'll be seeing a lot more East St. Louis stars in the orange and blue real soon. Let me know in the comments section, especially if you're a longtime Illini fan, what's your favorite Terry Hawthorne moment at Illinois? There's so many to discuss. You let me know. Do you think this is a good hire? I absolutely think this is a home run hire. It took a while for them to actually announce this. He was on the staff a little bit earlier, and then I think they only announced this a couple of days ago, and I had taken a mental note to make a segment about it, but things have gotten so incredibly busy with the Illini in general that I just now got to it in my notes. But again, I think it's an absolute home run hire. Let me know what you think. I really think that Terry can grow here for a couple more seasons before eventually, if he wants to be a head coach someplace, I think he's got the IQ, the talent, and certainly the drive to do it. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section. Baseball season is in full swing, and there's no better way to get in on the action than with Prize Picks, the best place for daily fantasy sports. With Prize Picks, you pick more or less on at least 2 player projections, and if you're right, you can win up to 1,000 times your cash. Whether it's strikeouts, RBIs, walks, Prize Picks keeps every game exciting. Setting up a lineup takes less than 60 seconds, and when you win, your payout is quick, safe, and secure. I always take advantage of Taco Tuesday, where Prize Picks offers discounts on select player projections for even more value. Download the app today and use code LOCKEDONCollege to get $50 instantly after your first $5 lineup. That's code LOCKEDONCollege for $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks. Run your game. And that should just about wrap it up for today's edition of Locked on Illini. For your second listen, check out the Locked on NFL Draft with Damian Parson and Keith Sanchez. As your favorite collegiate players get ready for the next level, get the latest draft rankings, rumors, and news every single day. Find Locked on NFL Draft on YouTube or wherever you listen to podcasts. Speaking of the NFL Draft, I'll be doing a quick player evaluation of the only Illini in the draft, Pat Bryant, with the good old folks at Bears on Tap. So definitely make sure you're stay tuned to this channel. If you have any feedback, please, I've got it scrolling in the bottom. Send me an email at talkillini@gmail.com. We're organizing a lot of things right here at Locked on Illini. We're going to have a couple meetups already planned for the summer where I'll be back in Chicago. We've got a Cubs game. Some of us might be meeting up for the NBA draft lottery to see Kasper Shakushonis getting drafted. Again, if those are the type of activities, if you have some free time and you want to join a group of other Illini fans, definitely send me an email, or what's probably going to be easier is if you just join the link to the Discord channel that we have in the description. Again, there's a lot of content coming up. You know, we're all on standby mode. Again, I'm very shocked to say this, but as of this recording, we have not heard from Adam Miller yet. I have no idea where his next destination is going to be in college basketball. Obviously, this is the place to be to keep up to date on your Andrej Stojakovic news. Again, my Discord is the first place you heard of it, period, in all of the Illini content creator space. And so, of course, as soon as I hear something, I promise I'm going to let you hear it. If there's any breaking news, I'll do my best to come on and do a rapid reaction and get your guys' reaction. But, you know, all in all, again, it's just going to be content all day, every day this week on Locked on Illini. Until next time, ILL. Love you guys.